what is the nature of the mind? What is its shape? What is its limitations? How is it that the human mind is so fast? These are some of the questions many philosophers have pondered into, and almost everybody has this question: what is the shape? What is the form and factor of a human mind? What are its limitations? To explain the form and factor of the mind, I would give you a simple example. When you consider a boy, a person, say, who is in a forest, who is in a park, he is occupied with a lot more of the nature of his surroundings than he would be occupied with when he is sitting in his room. The mind is what covers the space that the senses can perceive at that particular moment in simple terms. Say, if I am sitting here, there is a particular range of hearing, and that is the range through which my mind is acting. But the mind is flexible. When I pay attention, the mind flexes, moves farther in the direction of sound. If I am trying to observe something, the mind moves farther in that particular direction. And if I am feeling something by touch, the mind moves further into the sensation. So the mind is what occupies the entire sensory space of a human being. So how is it different from the senses itself? Well, it's a combination of the senses that feeds into this intermediate form, that is the mind. So let me make the situation even clearer. For example, if you were to pause the video, or after watching a movie, once you stop the movie, you feel a kind of retraction as soon as you stop all the sounds and sit quietly. Or even when you close your eyes, you feel the retraction. That is not that the ears went inwards or the eyes went inwards or that the eyelids got closed. It is the movement of the mind away from one particular direction that it was extended in. So that is the flexible shape of the mind, and it can flex in any direction instantly. So how is it that it is on a different plane? Why am I talking about the mind separately? So many of you might think that the mind has memory, but it does not. The mind is transitory and is at the present moment. Let me tell you how it works. The memory has a physical component in the brain or in the body. The memory is stored as modern science would say a change in the chemical composition or the physical form or electrical signals. All these things, changes, constitute memory. But the mind is what picks from the memory, and it is the quickest in doing permutations and combinations of what is stored in the memory. The mind is the quickest machine at doing permutations and combinations, and it will combine. To make this clearer, I have to tell you, I have to remind you of what you already know. You can talk to yourself. For a moment, just now, as of now, I am talking right from within, but I could also talk to myself a fraction of a second before I say it out loud. So when I am talking to myself, or if I sit and think quietly, when I am thinking, or when somebody says I am thinking out loud, who is it that is talking if it is not them? It is their mind that is talking. So what is the role of the mind? The mind is an evolutionary advantage, is a gift of creation, and it can be very troublesome to us also in the path of self-realization, or it can be very helpful. It's like a sword, it's like a knife. You can use it to cut vegetables or to cut your finger. So how you use it is how it works. But then let me tell you of the relationship, the dominance and all this, because this is a completely new concept which this can be understood only through internal inquiry into how your own mind is working, observation of that. Fine. So let me continue with that. So when you are talking to yourself, the mind is acting as your friend who is talking to you. Then what are you? Or what am I? When my mind is talking to me, who am I? What is my memory? See, there are three parts to this now. There's a memory component, there's a mind component, and there's a me component. The me component is the awareness. The awareness is like your gut feeling. The awareness is the decision maker, but the mind is the option giver. The mind gives all permutations and combinations in the language. The mind is very good at learning language just like you do. Since the mind can flex into the space around you, and a friend exists in the space around you, and anything that talks to you, what you listen to exists in the space around you, when the mind talks to you, since it is also in the space that is around you, you feel like it is you talking to yourself, or an internal talk, or the mind as your friend talking to you. So, where does this mind pick from? From the memory. Whenever something happens, that is registered directly through the senses, perceived by the mind and told to you. It directly is registered through the mind in the memory as well, and when it is told to you, you can neglect it, which is also registered in the memory as an event, or you can take it as serious, which can also be registered in the memory. Now, who are you then? You or I, other than the mind and my memory, would be the awareness. If you are thoughtless for a moment, not paying attention to even the senses, not paying attention to your memory, in perfect thoughtlessness, what exists, what space you see is you actually. That is the space of the soul. That is what people have called the soul or the Atma. So similarly, that space extends beyond the entire universe, and that entire space, what you call as all creation and what is not created, in that space it extends. That space has a smaller part which is within you, which you see as awareness of you. For example, let me make it clearer how you or I am different. I am different from my mind, or you are different from your mind and memory. If you have eaten a chocolate, and while eating the chocolate, the mind registered that pleasure was felt by the senses, by the chemical reactions in the brain, and that was registered in the brain. Now, you thought, since that chocolate which you just ate was stolen, it is ethically wrong. Now there's a choice between pleasure and what is right and what is wrong. From within you, even if the mind is somebody who is like a friend who tempts you to eat the chocolate, you are somebody who decides if you have to take the temptation or not. Probably that was very clear. The mind is what tempts you into doing something, Like your friend who tells that, okay, come on, so many people have done it, try to do it. That's a permutation of what is possible. The other permutation would be not to do it. The mind can offer both of them. And the awareness or the awareness of the entire universe has a part within you who is the decision maker, who is the authority and the final decision maker. But when we accept what the mind says, thinking of the pleasure that would be created in an instant, your awareness gets weaker. Once your awareness gets weaker or smaller, then the mind takes up a dominating role. It takes willpower to overpower the mind. It is very hard to overpower the mind, but then it is not beyond capacity. Once the mind is controlled, anybody would experience extreme happiness because of all the permutations and combinations. You will be doing what God wants you to do, because the part of God within you which says right or wrong and which can make out what is to be done is your awareness. But there is a special add-on to this. Your awareness, that part which I told you, which is the decision maker, is also not completely pure and free. It also tends to carry memories based on your desires, based on your wants, based on your afflictions. It also has a role to play in the memory that is created in the physical form, and it has a memory of its own as well. This part of the memory is called as the memory of karma. Not the physical memory that we have, not the memory of incidents that we have done, but that which is carried on through lives and lives and lives, because the mind exists only as long as the senses do. Its realm is the realm of the senses, and not that senses, you cannot sense what is inside. When you sense what is inside, mind enters into that domain and senses that. So it is flexibly moving out and in, since you also can sense what is in and out. And judging what is happening and telling you as a friend or as somebody who is sitting with you. Your mind could be your friend or your enemy. You can turn it into your enemy also, depending upon your level of awareness. The awareness that is there in a person would carry a certain memory which would not perish at the end of the lifespan. The mind perishes, the body perishes, the senses are gone, but that awareness, since it is a part of the awareness of the entire creation and beyond creation, that is not something that will perish. It is beyond the concept of birth or death. That will always exist. So, if in this memory of yours and in this memory of your partner, say a person you are married to, it is registered, the bondage between you is registered, then that bondage that the inner consciousness has carried or the inner awareness has carried will tell you that this person is not right for me from deep within if the awareness is nurtured properly through life. And that is where ancient cultures used to say the marriage lasts for 7 lives, or the marriage between the couple is married for 7 lives. That was used as a common adage. They did that because they observed the awareness registering that. That is why there are kids who talk of their previous births, because their awareness was so strong even before the mind completely developed. Well, so the space that the mind occupies is clear, and its speed is instant. Its role is in playing all the permutations and combinations from the memory. It can also act when you are sleeping, and it can also help you in not just you need not just think of it as a language permutation and combination. It is a permutation and combination of visualizations, objects, scenes that you have seen, and that is how you end up getting dreams. Because you are seeing it, you are a person in the dream, and who is playing out the dream? The mind plays out the dream. When the mind also sleeps and you have slept, that's deep sleep without any distraction at all. But when the body is asleep, the body is taking rest, you are asleep. The mind, if not asleep, tries to show you a picture when you are a little disturbed, when the awareness is disturbed, and you start watching it, then that is what you see as a dream. Your mind can show you, even when you are not sleeping, even when you are sitting somewhere, visions. A disturbed mind is what can throw up a goblin in every dark corner. When the mind is peaceful, you can pick a snake as if it was a rope, because it is you who are acting, it is the awareness that is in play, and that awareness is a part of the universe, and of that part of the universe there is an awareness within the animal that you are lifting as well, and you are connected and you see that all is one, and the mind is silent, so there is no person sitting beside you playing permutations and combinations telling you how dangerous it could be. And when the mind says how dangerous it could be, you, when you take that seriously, becomes your fear. Every emotion that you would have about the future or the past is because of your perception of what the mind is telling you. Most of the conversation that happens is between you and your mind. Less than 1% of the conversation that we have in our lives is spoken out loud, vocalized. Most of it is between us and our minds. So to calm the mind, various methods have been given, and that is what sages have prescribed even for enlightenment. When the mind is calm, the awareness expands. There are certain syllables that would be given to a student of a particular school from in ancient cultures to be used repetitively with its meaning also explained. Then, when that words have to be repeated by him, he has to listen to his repetition as well. He will engage his mind in uttering those particular syllables and not all for possible permutations and combinations. That is how he achieves presence of the mind. That is what we call as concentration. And when that particular visualization is also given to the mind, it will display, for example, that visualization could be the meaning of the syllables given, and that meaning of the syllables given is what the mind will throw up as a banner. So the vision is taken care of, and the sound is taken care of, and speech is taken care of. That takes care of most of the senses, more than 93-94% of our senses. That is most of what the mind is telling us. So that would keep the mind engaged in something, while the awareness can be seen and the awareness can be felt and given a chance to expand. And that is how people who have expanded their consciousness have expanded it by the use of such mantras or such syllables, such rhythms, meditation, all of it. All meditation is only to calm down the mind. All yoga is to connect that awareness within you to the awareness everywhere. Though it connects, you can again disconnect it and again connect it. But once you connect it, you will make it a very strong point in the memory hardware of your brain that this is all connected. And then once you remember that this is all connected, you are enlightened. But you could stay in that state for long, or you could disconnect and act like anybody else. But then, since you know that it is all connected and it is a part of your memory, you will get connected again at the time of your death. And that is why enlightenment was so precious. People were much stronger. They knew very well that their mind was another person playing there. So they had calmed the mind. But then, within their awareness, there were memories, there were karmas that they did call as karmas. Those memories, those afflictions had to be erased, and those afflictions could be erased either with the help of a teacher who can make you realize that everything is connected, the awareness is connected to the entire universe through some method, or with your own actions, and they observed how their awareness was erasing its own actions. That is how peaceful, how observant, how internally inquiring humans were in the past. But today, when if I listen to the radio, my mind has gone into the device that is playing out that radio. It is with the speaker who is speaking somewhere else. It's creating an imagination. And why do I not want to be disturbed when I am watching a movie? When I am watching a movie, the mind has flexed itself into the movie, into the scenario, and is moving around there. This is more so in the case of 3D movies or virtual movies that we see today, virtual spaces created. So people are diving their minds into it completely. Once the mind is diving in such spaces, there is no possibility for the mind to calm down, because it is outside perceiving a threat. That is why you are told, if you have to meditate, sit calm, sit in a silent space, so that the mind does not get take the lead in saying that there is a threat because of the sound, or the mind takes a lead when you see something. The mind is designed to protect your body. And when there is a tiger approaching, you can't sit calm and expand your awareness. You will have to see and perceive that as a threat. And by nature we have got this mind which will be very useful to us. But then when you don't need it, you don't have to use it. Why are people restless? Because their mind is used to getting engaged continuously in something or the other. And if their mind is not engaged in something, they cannot stay calm. It is addicted to engagement itself. That is called restlessness. Hope I have made certain things clear. I'll talk more about the mind and how it flexes. The mind flexes through your body. You can also concentrate your mind onto any particular part of your body. You can observe its movement. You can also sense it moving out through your eyes towards the device. As soon as you look at the device, you can also sense it coming back as soon as you close everything and stop it. Try to observe. You will see that you are back within you, or you are involved in that, and that is your mind. So we'll discuss more. If you have questions, you can send me your questions, because there's a lot that could be spoken, but that depends upon what questions you have. I would have had questions and I would have got answers, but just like that, spurting out both the question and answer as an iterative list would be nonsense. It is a never ending list. It might not even be your question. Thank you. Have a nice time.